Morning, welcome to day 3. So I've got to rebuild the base for the fridge freezer, put in the back wall, which would be the back wall of the fridge, which would be the back wall of the upright cabinet, and then replace this wall. So I might actually have to, because I've added a little bit of height to the floor, I may have to trim down the wall slightly. Won't know. We've still got a little bit of sag in the floor, but it's an awful lot stronger. Still got the bracing underneath outside to actually give us a little bit more of a solid footing when putting the cabinetry back in. So today is hopefully rebuild and put everything back together. Sorry, that's the dogs tapping in and out. There's the dogs and Karen. So hopefully all back together today. Just checked, we've had some rain overnight. It's been blowing a gale here. Got no more water ingress that I can see, so let's get on with it. Back to the saga. So this is the rear wall carcass of the fridge area, and you'll notice that these screw holes, so they had 2 attempts in actually getting it in before they decided to give up. And when I mentioned on a previous video about the piece of plywood, 3 attempts to get this in, decided it wasn't in the right location and just gave up. But that is the 1/2 inch ply, which is underneath the fridge at the back, that is holding it up. 1 screw, that's all it was. So obviously over time things move. It wasn't connected to the floor, it was connected to the walls, it wasn't connected to the ceiling, so movement, and that's what caused the fridge to drop off in the back. So as I mentioned, I'm replacing this, building a new frame around. I've still got the base, which will be giving me my sizings. So once I've got that, I'll make a frame to go underneath and support the fridge a lot more sturdy. Screw it to the floor, screw it to this back wall, then get it all recovered and get moving on. A quick update. So back wall's in as previously done. That's now been secured to the floor, the ceiling and the push out wall. The plywood backing that the top of the fridge freezer screws back to has been strengthened up. We're only held in with staples, so I've driven some nails and some screws underneath to actually hold it up, and it's not sagging anymore. Pretty solid, very happy with it. Put the frame underneath of the shelf on the outside wall and the back wall. You may notice that I've actually left the original studding on the fascia. Screwed the board down and it's solid. So underneath I've started pushing the wiring back in. As you can see, coming out from the underneath of the slide, coming through the back, you've got 1 wire that leads up and feeds the electrics for the ceiling light in the push out, which would be your dinette or above your sofa. Very simple, black and white to black and white, white to white. Just flip out the orange tabs, push the cables back in, close the orange tab down, and I've restapled the wire to the actual framing because that was just previously loose. So on to now the way that I took it apart and the way that it goes back together is I'm going to need to build a little bit of framing to go onto this side of the wall, because once you have put the wall in with the fascia board on, because I left the fascia board on, you won't be able to actually get to connect the framing for the shelf onto the back of the stud wall. So I'm going to do that now, get that all done, so that will support it on this side. Other than that, you can actually walk on it now. Quite happy, just stand on it. There's a little bit of bow in the wood that'll be taken up by the framing when we do this bit, but other than that, more than happy that it's actually on 3 sides. Going to be on 4 when I'm done. It'll support the weight of the fridge and stop it bouncing. Plus, having strengthened that up, I'm hoping that it won't actually be tipping back anymore. I may need to put a bit of filler wood in so the actual fridge freezer's upright. So you've got this side framing in, just put this on little legs to actually stabilize it on the floor, and screwed the fridge shelf down onto the framing. That's all now done, so I won't have any issues when trying to reattach the wall board, that would be here, and try and get a plinth or the framing underneath the plinth. So I wanted to make sure it was down secure before putting this on, so I've just got little stilts to support this side. Otherwise everything else is down, secured to the framing, to the walls and to the floor. Fridge is in, it's relatively level, it's secured at the bottom underneath the door. I just need to push it back a little bit so it's more level. Fortunately, the bracket on the back does not meet the wall, so I'm going to have to get a filler pack, fill that gap and then screw it through. Obviously I'll glue and screw it to the back wall and then screw the fridge to the backing strengthening piece of plywood that I'll put there. So I'll glue and screw that on, screw it together, level the fridge up, and we're good to go until I get around to some more wiring. So backing board in, glued and screwed, just use Evo stick grip fill, so that's stuck on, and the back of the bracket on the fridge has been screwed in, and it is solid and level. So more than happy with how that's gone. Just need to wire it in and put the other boards on. Okay, fridge all in, screwed in on the bracket underneath the door, so that just holds it to the carcass at the front. It's nice and level where it wasn't before, so let's fix that. There's a little bit of play obviously in this, and that will be sorted out when we put the other wall on. The backing board has been glued and screwed into place, and then the back bracket of the fridge has been screwed to that. Pulled everything in nice and secure. If anyone's wondering, there are no adjustment feet on these fridges. So the bracket on the front just sits on the cabinetry, and on the back there are 2 rollers. So you lift it in at the front, lift it up at the front, and then just push it backwards on the rollers. The rollers are not adjustable and there are no adjustable feet. So you either need to pack it up underneath to make sure you're level before screwing. Luckily for me, it was a push back at the top, so I will just put some packing under the rollers just to make sure that there's limiting the bounce that there may be when we're actually traveling. Hopefully you forgive the wind, but I'm now outside coming through the back side locker. Wiring is really simple. It's got a little clear plastic cover on, blue positive, black negative. All the other wiring I left as was, so all I've got to do is plumb it back in with the electric, and I'll do a quick picture of what we've got afterwards. Quick update before lunch. So framing is all back in. First piece of wall panel is back in. Been restapled. So I took all of the existing staples out. You can see the staples, but at the end of the day this is inside the cupboard, so I'm not particularly too bothered. What I did get was an electric stapler rather than try and do it by hand. This is a VonHaus electric stapler. It does both brad nails and crown staples. So the crown staples are just like what is in the what Rock would use to actually build it. So these are the crown staples. They are 15mm long, and it shoots them in pretty well. I mean, you can just go along with a hammer and knock them in. Like I said, it's inside the cupboard. I'm not particularly too worried. I'll be using brad nails on any fascia trim on the inside, and then just fill any nail holes that I've got. My DeWalt nailer is a little bit too aggressive, and you can't get nails short enough to do to stay this side of the board. So regardless of the depth that you want to put it on, that just basically shoots them straight through the board. Last framing in, just need to put the front panel on, do the electrics, add the trim, and then really we're done in here. Relay the carpet, tidy up, and I think we're all done in here. It's as solid, if not more, yeah, okay, let's go for it, more solid than what it was. So I'm quite happy with that. It looking pretty good. Alright, quick update. Everything's all back together. So put the front panel on, did the electrics, put the trim on, all tidied up. So just really need to get rid of all of this junk that's lying around and sort out the van, put it back to normal. I'll give you a update once we're all back to normal. Fridge is in and actually level and not leaning back anymore, which is all good. Back panel, the wallboard went in pretty well. I had to chop a little bit off at 10mm, but that was to expected because I have raised the floor height with the boarding that I put on top of the OSB, so that's pretty good. Therefore we have no gap at the top anymore, and we have no gap at the bottom anymore. Carpet's back in for now. We'll probably end up getting a piece of carpet big enough, bearing in mind that this diamond piece of carpet was just sitting on top of the plastic carpet, but I managed to find some clean, stain free, damp free edges off the carpet, so I've just cut those off and filled in the gaps. Just about to put the chairs back in, so the level of bounce is nothing now. I mean, to be honest with you, there is a little, but compared to probably what was an inch, say 3/4 of an inch to an inch drop in between the two, I'm really pleased with the money that it's cost, the effort that it took. Okay, it took a good couple of days to rip out, rebuild, but I'm more than happy with it. I'm just going to get the chairs back. I do have the long cupboard behind the fridge freezer still to do, but all the panelling's in. I just need to sort some flooring and build a box to hide all of the electrics. I've got some old UPVC fascia board that was left over from another project, so that's nice and waterproof, so I might build it out of that and make it easily accessible for future reference and future review of the damp areas, because I think that's particularly a weak spot. All in all, very happy with it. Most importantly, fridge is back on, all wired in, and the beer's in it, so we're all good to go. Thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe. We're here to help. If anybody's got any comments or questions about what I've done that may need clarifying, do not hesitate to drop us a comment or a question, and we'll see you on the next one Gracie Lou goes to.